Cool, guys, how are we doing? So if you're coming in and watching, do let us know that you are coming in. That would be great to see if you're joining us. If you have any questions as we go through, then please do shout them out. Just to let us know, just say hi to us, hit the blue thumb button at least 10 times, and then share it like on your feed or tag any lads in that you think this might benefit, all right? So I've got another three great lads. Who have volunteered to come in this evening, come and talk to you guys, talk to you about their journey, share their experiences. We'll be about 20 minutes here. We're going to be doing these all week. There's another two to come on Wednesday and Thursday. We'll be doing them at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we got one on Friday, just time to confirm. All right. So we are running a 90-day elite movement, which is a program to help men raise their game, upgrade the way they live their life, help them build purposeful direction by building an elite operator mentality. The lads that I've got in here with me tonight are really here to share with you their own experiences. I haven't asked them to say anything. What they say is exactly freedom of speech. Is just answering the questions that I give them. They're not here to plug the course. They're just here to talk to you and for you guys to literally get an idea about how it helps those lads. Right. Let's get into this, lads. You all right?
Yes, thanks, James.
Oh, good, mate. Thank you.
Cool. They got no idea what questions I'm about to answer, and so, which for Mark, with his blue background, is like OCD nightmare, I think. So, so listen, lads. I appreciate you coming on. I've been working with all of you for a long time now, actually. So, like Mark, you've been with me just over 2 years.
No, I joined. 18 months now. 18. Oh, yeah. Mark.
Yeah, so you've been with me for 18 months. Sorry, let's call you Blue. So,
and the yellows, yeah.
We'll call you. So you've been with me 18 months, which is an incredible time, an incredible amount of time. Mark, you've been with me
just over 2 years.
Just over 2 years. And then Jace, you've been with me probably just over a year?
Yeah, about just over a year, yeah. Coming up for 18 months, I think.
Yeah. Got you straight out of jail, didn't we?
Yeah, mate, straight out of it.
Love it. So all come from different backgrounds. I promised I wouldn't give Jace any stick, but I have already. So the thing is that we're not gonna we're just gonna share like a bunch of lads in the pub. So my first question that I'm gonna put out to you was, what type of man were you before you started working on yourself? And what I want us to do is be able to paint a picture of maybe some of the pain that you were going through before really starting to work on yourself, and who was it affecting? So what type of man was you, and like, who was that affecting? So we're going to go with the Canaries, Mark. And we're going back 2 years here now. So, can you remember that man?
I can, to a degree. Yeah. This was coming up to the end of 2019. And I was
2019. Jeez.
Yeah, not a lot of direction, I would have said. I had an idea of maybe what I wanted to do, which was get a bit fitter and get a bit more structure to what I was doing.
Yeah.
But very much drifting, really.
So how did that affect your life, do you reckon? So like, you with the drifting and lack of direction, kind of like, what were the consequences of that?
I would have said the quality of family life would be the first thing. Doing okay, but nothing spectacular, nothing bad, nothing great, but certainly affecting the relationship with the rest of the family, affecting my work. I would have said no real drive, no real direction. With that, definitely those two.
Okay. And do you think that, do you think other people noticed that? Do you think your characteristics at the time were ones that were noticed by family members, peers, friends? Were you miserable?
No, to a degree. I think probably what's been, maybe going to be one of your later questions, is what the difference has been. But I think people have noticed it since I've been part of the mastermind. So really, they've noticed that much of a difference. Maybe I've been like that for a while. Yeah. In sort of 5 or 6 years, maybe of the same sort of mediocre performance.
Yeah. Okay. Good and great answers. In that time, what was the point where you turned around and went, something's got to change? Was there a particular situation that happened, or was it just you got to that cliff edge and went, I literally can't keep going around in circles like this?
It is the latter, definitely. There wasn't one sort of cataclysmic event or anything like that. It was a real slow kind of progression to a point where, you know, I absolutely need to do something drastic, not drastic, but there's something really to turn things around 180 degrees, you know, and just stop doing what I was doing, which was really going nowhere.
Okay, interesting. It's good. Thanks, Mark. So Blues, Mark, same question. So same question to you. You know, what type of man were you before you suddenly had your epiphany?
I was somebody who put work first all the time. I was traveling a lot. I was in the US 1 week in every 6.
What do you do for the guys?
I work in IT. I'm a company director, but I've worked in technical and sales and different roles. But I was traveling to our US office 1 week in 6. But also, if there was something that needed to be doing, or I wouldn't think twice about saying, "Oh yeah, I can get up at 6 in the morning and drive to Liverpool or whatever like that." And that was it. Obviously, then the pandemic came. But what that was is I was too used to being, I suppose, I was lazy around the house. I wasn't putting the family first. I was wasn't really putting me first anyway. It was always work that was going first, and that was.
How do you think you got into that state, Marks? How do you think that materialized into, like, suddenly, you know, you got the family life and maybe health or something? How do you think you trickled into that trap? I
think it's always been when I started my job, it was always seen as you worked hard and you put the time in. It wasn't a case. It was always a case of you know, back in, I joined the company 22 years ago, and it was a case of, you know, almost first in, last out. That was the mentality to be, and then emails kicked in and smartphones, and you were able to do work everywhere. You know, where before, I remember my old man, he'd stay in the office late, but turn up at 7:30 at home, and then that was it. He couldn't do anything else. But now it's a case of suddenly I get a second wind. I was working at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, because that's what things needs to be done.
Do you think it's like there's an air of expectation within the work role that you'll give me your blood, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yes and no. I think part of it is the case of, you know, you have to push back a little bit and say, I can't get everything done. But it's a case of, you've got to hit that moment in your life where you have to go from, I have to do it, to I can't get everything done, and I can't, you know, you have to change. You have to accept that, and your businesses and managers will accept it, but obviously what they won't often do is tell you to stop if you're happily doing it.
Just rest yourself, mate. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Rest yourself. And then obviously the consequences to that for you were
lazy husband. I wasn't really around that much. I was around for my kids, but not really around for my kids. It was really during the pandemic when we started to get a point of reflection that even then it was a case of I was probably overworking at home because you weren't able to do what you weren't doing anything else. So I was just lazy, and I was lazy around the house. And I wouldn't even fill the dishwasher and stuff like that. You know, just the simple things that make a difference.
Yeah. Is it fair to say that, like, maybe without having gone through what we have done for the last couple of years, you could still be on that path?
Yes, unless yes, possibly, because maybe I wasn't taking the time. But then again, you see these things I found you on Facebook. That's basically you popped up. I thought, started listening, etc., and that's kind of helped me change and just give me a couple of. It's all about making somebody make you listen and think, and it's not normally your immediate family. It's actually somebody else to tell you, have you thought about this? And what really hit home to me, and maybe another question very quickly, but was your triangle of putting you at the top and you first, and I was putting work first.
Yeah. It was good. Nice. Jace, same question, mate. So, like, what type of man were you before, like, you joined us, mate?
Quite similar. A lot of the other guys really unmotivated, didn't have any purpose, any sort of direction. I know a lot of people won't be aware, but I had a lot of kids at a really young age, and I was married too young. So I come from being in like a single child household, having everything I wanted, to like bam, all of a sudden in my mum's flat, all these kids, not a very good paid job, stuff like that. So I was just kind of drifting. And I suffered with depression for the best part of 20 years.
Yeah.
And say around the pandemic, when it all kicked off, that's kind of when I got to my worst point. I mean, I'm sitting in the house. I'd go to work, come home, eat my dinner on the couch, fall asleep. I was in the house as like a dad and a partner, but I just wasn't present whatsoever. I had no interest in anyone, no interest in myself, no interest in the kids. I was just working, eating, sleeping, and when I was off work,
would you fair to say you're numb and hollow?
100%, 100%. And it was getting so bad that I was even starting to like get suicidal thoughts and stuff. And I was nearly sectioned by the doctor, changed all my medications and put me on high doses of this, that, and the other. And it was at that point I just thought I need to do something about it, because my partner I'm with now, she wasn't happy, the kids weren't happy, and I just knew it wasn't the way to be. And then I'm online looking for something to help me do something, and like a lot of the other guys came across you.
Yeah. You come through the 5-day, didn't you? You did the 5-day?
Yeah. Yeah. I dabbled a couple of times with the 5-day, and then I sort of saved up some money because money was always really tight, and then I got on to 28, and the rest history, basically.
Yeah, you've done really well, mate. Really well.
Yeah, I've not done too badly. I got a little bit of a struggle at the minute, but the difference is I've got the awareness where I didn't have before. I just keep going down and down.
Body
and down
armor
and down.
now, as I would call it. I always like looking at everything we've got, right? It's kind of like the armor that protects us from everything that's going out there with the fort that we talk about, right?
Yeah.
And to be fair, right, if we're honest, we never truly get away from that chaos or that stress. There's always something going on. Like, nothing, we don't ever stop feeling victimized, or we don't ever stop having our pity party or feeling overwhelmed. But what we do is we manage it better. We control it better, right? We control the emotions. We flip it. Like, how quickly can I flip this? How can I get myself back on track? How quickly can I get back on my path without this being a distraction? So, and all three of you have done that incredibly well. So I want to take us through to like breakthroughs. Now, breakthroughs for me are really, really important as we go through. So Norwich, Mark, what would you, I've planned this really well with 2 marks in here. What would you say that your biggest breakthrough was in terms of like having your aha moment, that moment where you went, geez, like you welcome to the planet. Do you know what I mean? Welcome.
It probably occurred. It did occur during the last 2 years. I would have said it's been a slow evolution, I would have said, and I have those aha moments like every couple of weeks where something just suddenly clicks. I've had one this week, which has suddenly helped me kind of connect to my to my mission, if you're right. It was just suddenly that don't even know where it came from, just suddenly clicked. But I mean, I've had a number of
Mark, what was that? What was it? What was that breakthrough moment?
It was. I mean, as you know, one of my big things has always been with my weight. I want to lose weight. I want to get fitter, and I knew that's what I wanted. But like the emotional connection, you refer to it all the time. The emotional connection was and it occurred to me this week. What are the things? And I've written a list out. This is what I've done. I've written a list of things that will every day benefit me when I lose weight or when I get fitter. And it's simple things like just having a wider selection of clothes, just being able to like bend over and do my shoes out without getting out of breath, those little things, being able to sleep soundly through the night, not wake up the rest of the family with the snoring, and I listed about 15 things, and it's not exclusive list, but that was all of a sudden, these things are just things that I benefit from every day. And it was just a massive thing for me, but it's so simple to do. And that's just one example. I suppose to give an example of, I probably had like 15, 20 of them over the last couple of years because they just suddenly present themselves here.
What do you think the key attribute to having breakthroughs is? So before you start working on yourself, you just kind of go through this cycle, right? It's like this consistent cycle of chaos. And we just go through life like, yeah, I'm on it. Then all the barriers in life kicks in. And then then there's like the emotional turmoil of that low self-esteem. And then we go back to starting it. It's just kind of like Groundhog Day, like round and round. What do you think changes that, like in terms of for you personally, to then start suddenly realizing, so, what's changed in the last 2 years to make you start? I mean, I've written that down because I think that's a really good way to, I always talk about putting yourself in that picture at the end state. Like, what does success look like, feel like? How does it change the relationships around me? What do you think it is in your mind or your brain that starts getting you thinking like that?
It definitely. I mean, to the point you made. I mean, there's always chaos. That is life. I mean, but what's made the difference and what makes a difference each time is having the tool set available to you to handle it, whatever it is, whether it's financial or emotional or family, whatever it is. Each time, it's like, okay, this has gone wrong. Bang. Okay, what can I do? How can I turn this to my advantage? How can I bring myself on an emotional level again? Each time it's just having the tools available to you that, each wobble that comes along or each challenge that comes along, because life is full of them and they'll always be full of them. And that doesn't change whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. There will always be something. But what made the difference over the last couple of years is having that set of tools available to me and having a group to bounce ideas off.
Yeah, love it. Nice, great answer, mate. Mark?
I think kind of two moments really. First of all, it's if the three of us here all been on a very different journey, and what I found is when I first started this is that you can't compare yourself to anyone else. So sometimes I felt that my problems were insignificant. Somebody like Jason's, for example, and I've met Jason personally, great bloke. But then again, we're in very different spaces and times of life, and you can't compare each other in the journey you're on. And that was one of the key things for me, because I could have easily dropped out at one point, going, "Hold on, this isn't for me." I don't.
Well, we nearly did, right?
Yeah, I don't drink every day. I don't. I don't have this issue. I don't have that issue. Do you know what I mean? But my problems were a bit different. The other thing, the real thing for me though, has been accountability and planning. One of the things that stuck with me in the early days of doing this was to say, I'm going to go to the gym twice this week. So when are you going to do it? Rather than just saying, I'm going to go to the gym this week, actually plan your day in, plan when you're going to go, plan when you're going to do things, because if you don't, you won't do it. Now, there's always going to be curveballs, as people have said. There's always going to be changes. Okay, well then move it, put it to another day. But if you don't plan, you then can't handle the overwhelm. And as Mark was saying, it's the tools. So today, I actually suffered from overwhelm today. I had the weekend off, went up Snowdon, came back to work yesterday, and I'm kind of thinking all of the things I've got to do. I then created this mess of a page.
Oh my
I went,
God.
well, that doesn't help. So then I created this page, which broke it down to the different areas of the business and things I've got to do, actually sorted it out. And now I don't feel overwhelmed because of it. But it's having those type of things.
And that, by the way, that is so simple, but yet never gets carried out. That is like our brain dump, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at that, and I'm the same. Like I've got my long-term vision, but then I just brainstorm everything that needs doing and go, right, what's my top 3 things of that I need to do this week, right? So there's my time and energy. And it comes down to budgeting. Every single one of us, all of us here, everyone watching, we budget money. Like this amount of money is going to the bills. This amount of money is going to food. This amount of money is going to free time. But what we don't do, or what lads don't do, and we spoke about this last night, was we don't budget that 168 hours a week. Now, what's interesting is that 168 hours a week, you never get back. Like, so our 168 hours this week, once that's gone and used up or wasted, you never get that back. Whereas if you ended up budgeting your money, if you lose some money, you can work overtime and get some of that back, or you can do this. You can always somehow, some way, if your life depended on it, make more money. But what we don't get back is time. And there's so much of it being wasted on thinking about it, trying to do it yourself, trying to figure it out, trying to go through the pain, trying to read every book that's under the sun, watch every video to find that magic pill. When actually it's about just implementation. And I think one of your biggest breakthroughs was actually coming to the big seminar in November.
Yeah, it was. I agree. It puts meeting others in the same position.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy the Zoom calls that we have, and you actually get to hear from the other guys.
Yeah.
And the one thing that also hit home for me we spoke last week. You talked about the fact that budgeting money, and you talked about you set a task for some of the other business guys that you work with of a 20-hour work week. And I was looking at all those tasks going, right, if I had 20 hours, which ones will I do? Which would I get done? So, yeah.
But it changes it, right? It squeezes you. Jace, what are those breakthrough moments?
Safe for me as well. It's like the routines and the planning, and just showing up, and like you've always said, like finding that one thing and just going all in on it helps like massively. Like where I've got overwhelmed, I always go back to that. Just pick one thing and go all in at it. Like this next quarter, my plans, I've stripped them right back, because the few things that are niggling me at the moment, I just want to focus on them and just get them nailed and get back. I think I was doing too much and overwhelming myself. So finding like that one thing and going all in, it just lets me plan better and do better on each task that I've got to do. But like morning routines and all that kind of stuff and journaling and that, it's helped me massively. I wouldn't be without it now.
Why do you think you didn't plan beforehand? And do you think it's a case of maybe you didn't have a model to structure it on? Maybe you just weren't aware of it. Maybe you just didn't want to. Like, is this something specific, or do you just think you were in such a rut?
To be honest, my head was too far up my own arse, mate. At that time, I was too down and depressed, and I was just looking for something. And then I come across you, and you had that structure and ways to like plan your weeks and going forward further afield. It just worked. I thought, got nothing to lose, I'll give it a go. Started doing it. Felt a bit odd to start with, but now I just do it.
Second nature.
Like sometimes I do it in work. I'll get like the notepad out. I'll be sitting in the canteen like writing stuff down. The guys are like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Well, I'm just planning out next week, mate. They're like, "What?" They're all like scratching their heads. Like I'm like, "Yeah, whatever."
The fuck is this guy in the canteen?
Yeah, it's fruitcake.
Yeah. Oh, nice, and I like it. Yeah, it's good. And you know what's really interesting is the process, right? It's like when you learn to ride a bike or swim or drive a car. You're like, fuck me, like, wow, where the hell am I supposed to go from here? You sit down in the front of a car and you're like, got all these buttons and everything. It's like, but then suddenly 1 year later, you just do it automatically. You get in, you don't think about driving. Like some days when I'm driving, I'll be like, how on earth did I end up here? Like 10 minutes have just disappeared, and you've just your underlying system, automation, your DNA has just done it for you, and that is the same planning.
Because like in the past, it was like you'd be down, you'd try and drag yourself back up to a level, and then it would all just get shitty again, and you just slump right back to square one. Yeah, and it was just up and down, up and down, up and down. But now I've got these tools and stuff to help me. It's when you start being a dickhead, it's like, right, we need to do this, we need to do that. Just crack on, and it stops you going back down.
It helps you reset every week, doesn't it, Jason?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. All right, we're going to move on. So, Mark, as in Canary, what do you think is your main objectives for this year? Like, what are you working on this year? So by the end of the year, like, what are some of the things that you want to have achieved, and why?
Well, my goals, my primary goals this year are to lose weight, and I've built the process, I've built the structure around how I'm going to achieve that. Okay. And the other big thing, really, after my big thing leading up to 2019 or 2020, really was I guess what some people would label social anxiety, and about being anxious about being in some social situations. And my intention this year is to really nail that into the ground. But it isn't. I mean, that's easier to say something like that. You know, I'm not going to feel anxious going to this venue or that theatre or do those things. But having the structure to do it, and I've already had a success with that in the last week. You know, but by being in something being in a situation that, you know, this point last year or 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I just thought, you know, I wouldn't be able to get through the door. And I've already made that progress towards that. But also over the last year, you know, last couple of years, the one of the other big things is to get a sort of closer relationship with my family, which has never been bad, you know, but like the other guy's been saying, you know, I've always been, work would always come first. Particularly working from home, you know, you're never off the clock kind of thing. To definitely improve that as my kids get older, they're both in their 20s now, and support them in their next phase of what they're going to do. But it's trying to sort of help them understand some of the things I've achieved over the last couple of years and apply some of the process to them, and to my wife as well. You know, she has her own sort of struggles with things, and just having worked on myself for 2 years, and I'm not a completed process by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm now at that stage where I can start to help some other people around me get in it. So really, by the end of the year, I want to be sort of helping some others, whether it's work colleagues or family, to get a little bit more structured, and that would be a massive achievement for me by the end of the year.
Almost becoming a coach.
To a degree, yeah, it is. It is something I think that's maybe mentioned the last couple of months or something. We do focus, and we absolutely work on ourselves first. It is that, you know, putting your own oxygen mask on first. But then once you've done that and you're comfortable with that, you then turn to the people to your side and then start helping them with whatever it is they need. I mean, in this analogy, the oxygen you're taking in is that tool set and all that planning, you know, but being able to share that with other people and lead, sometimes through example, but definitely be an arm, you know, a shoulder to lean on, or something like that. And, you know, it is then about, I mean, I'm working on myself by then helping others. Yeah, it sounds a bit victory, but that's definitely, definitely a way to move forward.
Do you know, one of the best ways that you can become better is by teaching other people what you know, because it reconfirms everything that you've learned. So if you, like, don't I say I was in elite mastermind, like, I need you to teach the lads who are coming through, like, you're now almost their mentor, like, without recognizing it. And when you start giving advice to the lads in the Brotherhood, and for those watching, the Brotherhood is about that community spirit. It's about, like, it's not just about me. It's not like one message. It's about how you've received all of the information over those years, and then giving all of that advice to lads who are just literally starting on a brand new course. And they're like, wow, thank you so much. But then you suddenly turn around and go in your brain, man, I sound like I know what I'm talking about. Like, you know, this is what I'm practicing. But it almost becomes trainer, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And you end up, like, cementing your own values and principles and character, like, and what you've learned over those years.
Yeah, which means I don't necessarily stop, but it's on top of what I've already learned. You're continually getting stronger with my own development, and then that permeates outwards.
100%. Mark, what's the focus this year?
The focus this year is the fact that I'm turning 50, and it's snuck up on me, and I realise now 10 years. When I first started this, I was 48, and 10 years time was 58, and it wasn't really a problem, was it? It was all far away. And I lost my dad. He was 53, and I was 27. So that's kind of also that's in my head. But really, for 10 years now, it's snuck up on me, and it's about, this year is all about sorting out finances and sorting out the plan to maximise so that I'm good at retirement. That's really, for me, I just haven't taken any. Well, I've paid into a pension and I've done stuff, but I haven't really then taken a step back to go, where are we? What do we need to do in this next 10 years to make sure I can retire at 60 or whatever?
And that's important, right? And for those that don't know what we do, like, we're very much about the long term, right? We're very much about that long mission, remembering the mission, having that emotional connection, I think, and actually being around long enough to see it through, I think is really important to understand.
Exactly right. So it's not just about having the money to retire, but it's about having the fitness and the health to retire. It's about being able to see both my kids kind of late teens and early 20s. So it's about seeing them kind of to their next stage and just be around. So that for me is the focus this year, is to really put that base in place, so that I'm good and I can then work for the next 5 to 10 years, both on myself, but also on my position to enable me to be comfortable.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, good. And that's the emotional connection as well, which is great.
Oh yeah, because at 60, I don't want to be down the mine or something.
You got to think about these things, man.
Could be an Uber driver. Who knows? Or have an orange apron at B&Q. You know, one of those things. Although my wife would say with my DIY effort, that would just be the worst job forever for me.
You know, it took me nearly 2 hours to put up a basketball hoop for my son. I literally, and I had to put it all on the wrong way and I had to drill it. Literally, composure and control went right out the window. It just was lucky no one was here. So, Jace, for you, mate, where's the year going for you?
I'm always the same. I mean, those past couple of years, I've not really awoken to life as such. So I'm kind of like, because I had kids so young and stuff, I've kind of done everything back to front. So I'm just kind of like starting out. I mean, I've got the better job and stuff now, and my relationships are getting stronger and stuff. So it's focusing on my health, so I'm about as long as possible. Because my kids range from like 24 right down to 8 years old. So I kind of realised like recently, I'm 40 now, the next 10 years, how I treat myself will kind of determine how the rest of my life plays out, like physically.
Yeah.
So we're working on myself to get myself a lot fitter, improve my relationships with the kids and my missus and stuff like that, which is improving. Just to get that better and then sort my money out and then start living life.
So really just getting it together, basically. But like, you know, and I think that's where to achieve those outcomes, it all stems from you, right? You being the core of this, because everything that you all three of you have said in some way, shape or form, I'm sure that a lot of people want somehow. And I did this training on Monday. It's on the Man Coach. Go for those watching, you can go back and watch it. And I was talking about the goals that we're trying to achieve. So when we think about fitness being one of them, for example, we want to lose weight or we want to be fitter. Instead of just focusing on that goal, if we focused on everything out, on controlling everything else around us, i.e. our emotions, our distractions, building our discipline, moving forwards, morning routines, vision. If we did all of those things, what ends up happening is the byproduct becomes along that journey of doing all of that control. You just shift weight without reason. It's like sneaky beaky. It's like Sniperville. You just call it in, you're doing all this other thing. And then you go, I've lost 2 stone and I haven't even been focusing on that. And that's because you have become first. You know, you want better financial stability. So does Mark. Mark wants to make, I know I haven't worked one-on-one with Mark about the strides he wants to make with his family and making with his own personal life and his business life as well. So, but all of those things can never be achieved, right? Unless we put on that oxygen mask and we focus on the things that matter, the morning routines, the vision, the time management and planning and budgeting of our time. Like, these are small things, but to other people, they're like, where do I start? And if you're watching and you kind of think to yourself, I want all of this. This is where I want to be. I want to be on that screen talking to James, inspiring others. That's what we do with the 90-Day Elite Movement. That's the whole point. You come in, you learn the fundamentals, you implement with the community, accountability and support. So, lads,
That's one thing for me at the start. That's one thing for me at the start. I'd never thought I'd be sitting here like having this conversation like this. Never. I just looked at all the stuff and it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But no,
but the big thing for
crazy.
you, bro, is that I've watched, and the privilege that I get is to watch you all grow. And I know where each one of you three have grown and how you've grown. Doesn't matter how many guys are in there. I still know what's going on. I'm still always reading and consuming. Is that your self-belief, Jace, has gone through the roof. Like, and that's why you are sitting here, because you start to believe in yourself. You bet on yourself, which a lot of lads don't do. They don't bet on themselves to be good enough. Yeah. And you've dealt with all those demons, and we've spoken and we've done all of that. So, and you've overcome that. And it's the same with Mark with the social thing. You've bet on yourself. You've put yourself in that position, and you literally hated the time you didn't come down to Bexhill for that. Didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
And you were like, oh my God. And you messaged me and I went, yeah, you're a dick. But you come to the next one in Birmingham, and you were there and you loved it and you got tons out of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and for those lads watching, it is always betting on yourself. It's always going, I am good enough. I am going to commit. You know, through a course, you're not going to be perfect over the 90 days. You're going to dip. But that's my job and my team's job, and actually the community, to kick your ass. There's about 4 guys I've just ripped a new arsehole of in the 90-day, like who haven't shown up. Like, do you know what I mean? Who haven't showed up to the standard that I expect them to show up to. And it's not self-pressure on it. It's like, dude, like, are we in or are we playing or what? And I think that's important. So we're going to wrap this up. And I want you to, I'm going to put you on a spot. I want you to tell me, or not tell me, tell the guys watching, or give them one piece of advice based on your own experience. Don't turn around and say sign up. I don't want you to say that. I want you, from your own experience and the journey that you've been on, because we have almost 5 years worth of experience between you all here of working with me and being in this system. What would you tell somebody watching who desperately wanted to be the next level, who definitely wanted to upgrade, who definitely just need to get out of that cycle that they're in? Canary Mark.
I would say trust in the mechanism, trust in the plan. I mean, what it's almost like you've really got to dig deep into yourselves, and it kind of, it's almost irrelevant what your end result is. Well, when you first start in, it's just trust in the process, you know, because it's proven. It's just work on yourself, but trust in that process. I can't say that enough, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, just
trust it.
Listen to what people are telling you, because everyone, as Mark said, you know, we've all come from different backgrounds, with all different experiences, but the process you need to go through to make that 1% improvement every day is the same for everybody, and it can be applied to a wide range of issues. You know, trust in the process.
100%. Love that. Thanks, Mark. Other Mark.
Often, to make any change, whether you're losing weight or whether you want to you're doing something in your work, whatever, it's about accountability. And often, if you don't have that accountability buddy, or it's difficult to change. And for me, it's about by both of having that accountability and saying, I've got to turn up, meet you halfway and turn up. And also it's being inspired by others. So, you know, sometimes you have a blank piece of paper, you don't know where to start. So but the paper isn't blank. It gives you the ability to understand where you need to be accountable and how you can show up. And then also just listen to others, because what other people are doing. You know, I've been inspired by Jason this year about what he's achieved. You know, as I said, I've spent some time with him on that in Birmingham. We chatted, and where he's got to with regards to the new job, brilliant. That inspires me. And what other people have done, what Mark's done about, you know, turning up again in Birmingham, and also you see it all the time about what the others have done. And for me, it's about having that accountability buddy, but also having the ability to be inspired by others.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks, Mark. That's great. Jace?
100%. I can't really add much to what the other two guys have just said. I mean, it's having those other people to like buddy up with and keep you going. You know, if you've got a problem, you can air it, and there's no fear of any judgment. You know, no one ever says anything negative, and there's always somebody there that can talk to you. And yeah, it's just great. You just got to trust the process and just crack on.
Good man. Love it. So lads, thank you. 3, we'll talk afterwards anyway, but thank you for being here. For those guys that are listening in, I hope you take great inspiration from these 3 lads. The 3 lads we had on last night, the lads that we're going to be meeting during the week. You know, I'm always asked, who inspires you? Who do you follow? And there's a few people, but like the people that inspire me the most are definitely lads like these 3 lads. You know, each have a different background. What I love the most about what we've achieved, and I probably don't reflect enough on what we've achieved. And I kind of look at when I looked at myself in the military, we were all the same force, but from a multitude of backgrounds, like lads off Glaswegian Street, like lads from out in the valley, lads from the sticks, lads from Sunderland, lads from the London, Cockneys, but we'd all come together and be under the one umbrella of a Green Beret. And when you get on the fighting ground, you're fighting with these lads left, right and centre, and you're looking after them left, right and centre. And the way that I looked at the Brotherhood and I was reflecting on my morning routine last week, I was like, that's what we got here. I've got like Jason in Scotland. We got Mark in Norwich. We've got Mark who's Reading, right? But we've got like, you're miles apart, but you kind of come together. You know, completely different backgrounds and families and jobs, but it's the same issues that we're trying to deal with. It's the same process that we're trying to build. And it doesn't matter what your job is, how much money you earn, how many kids you've got, what you've been through. The structuring system is still the same and works for everybody. It doesn't matter who it is. And, you know, and I sometimes forget that about how we bring people together, and we do it in our yearly thing, right? In the Rise to Thrive live show that we do it every November. We've run it once, and it's going to be this big thing where everyone comes together. Mark and Jason connected more. And it's inspiring to hear your stories, and you guys are inspiring in your own right and your own stories. You could each write a book, and everyone in that Brotherhood could probably write a book. Most men could write a book on it, on their lives, but it's kind of like, what's the next chapter, you know? And I think settling for average and staying the same is not an option in this minute, small amount of time that we have to make a huge impact. Do you know what I mean? And I think, you know, you guys have all done that. So thank you for being on. Guys, if you are interested in being on the other side of this screen and you are interested in following these systems and these structures, you can apply by clicking the links above if now is the right time for you. All right, lads, let me just cut this off. We'll see you tomorrow for 3 o'clock for the next interview.